Welcome back to Navigating the Shift. Annabelle Drum and I, Sarah Bierman, are going to be talking about those wonderful, magical, special superpowers that exist in the new Earth, the fifth dimension, that we are bringing in and creating on this Earth now, getting us out of 3D into 5D so we can have so much fun. Yay!
Yay! And it's not
Now,
just in the future, it's already happening, right?
we can start now. Right. My experience in 2008, I did a meditation sort of shamanic journey. I wrote about it, and there'll be a link below. It's called The Line in the Temple, Journey to the New Earth. And the New Earth is a template that our soul level selves created of this new Earth 5D reality. And during this trip, I ended up going through a cave from 3D, landing in 5D. It is a kind of a cute story. I'll do a very short version. I was greeted by a small, dark woman who I thought, well, maybe, and it was just like, oh God, gorgeous. It smelled great. The colors were so bright. I felt lighter. I felt like I had less gravity on me, which was really unexpected. And she brought a camel over to give me a ride. And being an equestrian, I thought, great, a camel. And the camel turned and looked at me. And it was like, whoops, everything's conscious here. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. Thank you for giving me a ride. And then it went down on its knees. I thought, well, that's something my horse never did, right? My horses have never did. So I felt this gratitude for this camel for giving me for a ride. And she said, do you want to see the line in the temple? But sort of left me hanging. I'm like, do you want to see the line in the temple?
The line.
The line in the temple. Just let it ride. And I was thinking, what could that be? But she was not going to answer me. And this is all telepathic, which is interesting. So the first thing is, in the new Earth, everything is conscious and you can communicate with it. That's so much fun. The camel takes me to actually a pyramid in the jungle. And there was an entrance that it kind of went down, and the pyramid went deep underground. And I got a sense that there was an inverse pyramid built deep into the earth there, which was cool. And wind down this hall, opened up into this bigger room. Oh God, I can't convert feet to meters. 20 by 30 feet, 20 feet tall. Yeah. And there was a raised dais there, and some big chairs like thrones, and Razu Osiris was sitting in one. So I guess I got to back up on that. A long time ago, I was talking to Saint Germain a lot, and I felt a new presence come in that felt very familiar and very safe and loving. But I didn't know, I didn't have a name for it. And he said that he was called Osiris, and that was a name given to from other cultures, and I think that ended up being what the Greeks called him. I went and looked it up, and that energetically, what matched him more was Razu. So that's why I was calling him that. So he was there greeting me, and I just sort of felt like, oh, gee, I don't know if I can get up. Do I deserve to get up on a platform on a throne with you? And this is all telepathic, right? He said he was sad that I didn't feel that much self-worth yet. But what would I be careful with? And let's sit down on the steps. So we did. And then he asked me, do you want to see the line in the temple? And I'm like, sure. What could be the line? There's lots of lines, And what happened was it was like an overlay all of a sudden on the wall where I was looking. Here was where I walked in here. And so then there's walls of this stone room, an overlay of a grassy field with this line of like priests and priestesses going way back. And I realized that these were past lives of myself, and that they had come forward to help me regain my memories and to give me the gifts of the wisdom that I learned during those lives. And the first one came forward to me. It was a man, and wearing a robe. And this was 11 years ago. It's not that clear, but I have more details in the story. And he had a pillow with a little golden box, and I opened it up, and it was like bright, shiny light, but I couldn't see it with 3D eyes. And it was It was very interesting. It was very bright, but not white. I don't know how to explain it, but that's the best I could come up with. Lots of times this type of stuff isn't describable in 3D.
No.
And I was like, well, what do I do with it? He said, you'll know when the time comes. So I thought, okay, well, I don't want to just carry this box. So I put it in my heart. And when I did that, I felt a bunch of doubt leave. You know, I'd walked in with doubt, am I worthy and all that. And it felt like that just melted off of me. And then Arazu asked me, do you want to visit anymore? And with that doubt gone, I didn't have that feeling I had before of, oh my God, I want to learn all of them quick, you know. It was like, oh, there's plenty of time, I'll come back. And I have. So my personal experiences in many times, I've gone back to the New Earth. I've taken people to the New Earth. I've got a guided meditation recorded, a free one that will also be linked below. And every single day, I connect to the New Earth energy and set my intent and ask for the support of benevolent, that's the right word, benevolent entities to support bringing the New Earth here and activating that template now.
Can you just explain a little bit about the shamanic journey? Was that in meditation? Was it under the influence of substances, or how did that come about? Okay.
No substances. It was.
Did you do it by yourself or with somebody?
Yes, by myself.
Okay.
Just went into a really deep meditation, almost to the point of being asleep. Mm-hmm. You know how when you're in that in between point where your thoughts start to become pictures?
Yeah.
As you're falling asleep, I can't remember what you call it right now. And often we fall asleep and just don't remember it. But if you can manage to stay awake in that point, and I was really training myself to try to be able to do that so that I could grasp these huge, vast amounts of information and still be able to move my lips, you know, to be able to communicate and talk and explain or share or describe things to people. So I was doing a lot of that. So one of the things that I loved, of course, was the gravity was less, and what we think of as what gravity is not really what it is. What our modern scientists are saying, and I won't go into that. But a whole lot of what makes what we feel is this heaviness is consciousness gravity. Judgment, all the judgment,
low frequencies.
The matrix, it's imposed on us and it's pushed down on us. And the judgment, I mean, you know, everybody's walking around going, "You're no good, you're no good." I mean, like those videos that we talked about last week or the week before.
So to be lightened up, so it's
yes. And the communication and everything's conscious. The colors are brighter, which is fun.
Yes. The lady I just talked about in the last video talked about that too. That the colors are extraordinary because you can see so much more. It's the when you talk about veil being lifted, that suddenly you can see how much more is actually here. Yeah, brightness, telepathy. So I've had. There's probably been more, but I do remember very specifically getting a telepathic message. I don't know if I used to be able to communicate with cats when I was young.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah.
That.
But this was as an adult, and I thought I'd seen this guy. Now I can't quite remember his name. It's either Brasso or Draso from Croatia. He looks out over an audience with a loving look and physically heals people. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I'd like to go and see that, which is usually the way I'd go about it. And then I'm off walking down the park. He's from Croatia or somewhere. Doesn't speak any English. Walking out down the park here in Sydney, Australia. Sit down on a park bench, as you do. And right next to me on the pole was sellotaped a brochure. Come and see this man. And here he was. He's coming to visit Sydney. So I went out to see him.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's very specific in how they ask you to manage the session. I find that with a lot of the spiritual people, if you're going to have a talk to them, the conditions are set up for ultimate, productivity for them, I think. So we were all asked to stand. People in wheelchairs obviously stay where they are. And then he would come up on the stage and there was some just nice meditation music. and he would stand there and he'd look out. And it's not just like a big sweep, but he'd look, 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 like that. You could see him doing that. And I'm at the back like, and he just looked at me, boom, and then I moved on. And in that instant, I got the message, there are people here who need me more than you. And I was like, oh, right, yeah, okay, of course, yeah. And I was about to walk out, and I thought, oh, no, hang on a minute. No, people will think I'm being a bit rude, so I'll just sit down. No, don't sit down. Let's just wait with the audience. So I'm waiting and looking around at people, and I just waited till the end of the session. And at the same time, I'm going, wow. I got that. That's like getting an email. And I'd heard that before. Telepathic message comes, bing, like that. You get the whole concept within that time, and then you convert it into your own language. So if I'm talking to somebody who is Croatian or Chinese or Russian or whatever, they'll convert that message into their own language. And that was really cool. And apparently we send it through the end of our nose. Ooh.
Oh.
How about that?
Interesting.
So that's one thing.
There's something about chins. There's like a chin chakra, and that was, they say, somebody said that
like the
reason Egyptians put the fake thing on was to extend their chin chakra. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it looked like a fake beard, but would it be gold?
Yeah.
Because then it would be more of a receptor conductor, right? Have you had any telepathic messages?
Oh, tons. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, whatever, Annabelle. Yeah, I've done it for years.
I have. I mean, I'm kind of, I practice it. I do it for a living, pretty much. And like I said, I trained myself so I could access that and translate it, like you said. And I've worked with clients with their pets, like a really high-level horse, like Olympic-level horse she was having some problems with, and I helped her with her horse by talking to the horse or dogs or something. I've talked to dead people, notably my mom, which was rather nice. And I've had, we've all had this happen where you suddenly think of somebody, the phone rings, and it's them.
Yeah.
That's
that's the connection. It is. Yeah, it was not quite what I was thinking of as when you get your little message, like you were getting through your shamanic journey as well. But yeah, that is, isn't it? It's
not
a connection.
Quite as groovy, but it is.
Yeah, it is a connection. So what about teleporting?
That's a good one. Yeah. Evidently, what they say, there's technologies that already exist. That's one of the things that's going to be fun is the technologies that are coming out. With the removal of the negative influences on us, on our health and our abilities, plus having technologies that can heal us instantly, remove all the cancer and everything, whatever.
And the aging as well.
What, sorry?
I said, and the aging as well.
Yes. Yeah. So then that's when a whole lot more of these abilities can happen. Right? Like the teleporting. Are you talking about doing it
yourself,
like mentally or yourself without technology? Yeah. That sounds like fun. You hear stories about that of like Native American shamans shape-shifting and showing up different places.
Becoming Buddhist a tree monks. When the cowboys showed up. Yeah, that kind of thing. That's right.
Yeah.
Buddhist monks as well. There's a book where a guy was teleported with the two higher beings who were teaching him during that book, and he thought that was pretty cool. And when I was working with Mercredan over those years, now this might have been 4 or 5 years ago, he had said at that point there were 30,000 people on the planet who already can teleport.
Wow.
Yeah, and it will grow from then, and that was, like I said, 4 or 5 years ago. So people can do it. They're obviously not going to tell everybody, otherwise some baddie will show up and say, I'm going to kill all your family unless you go and get the crown jewels, So you don't necessarily tell people these things, but...
Right. Well, I haven't, that I know of, teleported, but I have had success in bending time, I guess you could say, or stretching time.
Yeah.
I've been able to drive distances that should take an hour and a half or longer and do it in an hour, say, get it pretty short.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, the way I see it is, the way it showed up for me, I guess you could say, is double spirals like our DNA, one being time and one being space. So it's a space-time continuum in a vortexing spiral. And so one will be time, one will be space, and I can like stretch the time and shrink the space a little bit. And I've been able to like, woo, shoot, we're already taking my daughter to a concert in San Francisco, and we left late, and then there was horrible traffic. And we got there in a ridiculous amount of time, exactly the right moment when her friend who was in line waiting to go in, the line started to go, she dropped off and went right in. And those kinds of things, I've been able to do that, but not exactly just say, here, now we're here, bingo.
Yeah.
But I think we're coming, we're getting there. And I think, like I said, I think last week you were talking about when I manifest that fuchsia silk skirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't quite just manifest it in my closet.
Yeah.
Just my mind wasn't quite ready for that.
Yeah.
But I did manage to manifest it in a store really inexpensive.
That's it.
So
yeah.
I think, well, another story, and you probably have some of these because you're a good manifester, but I was practicing with it. And I wanted to get some type of balls that I could use because my back was sore, and I wanted to rub my back with balls against the wall and massage it. And so I said, okay, universe, send me some balls. And the next day, my neighbor came over with a softball, which is about this big, that was new. She said, I never use this. Would your kids like it? And I said, well, give it a try, and then thanks. But that was too big and it was too lumpy. Right. And then I said, no, not quite that, smaller than that. And this was a while ago too. I can't remember exactly what happened, but just balls kept showing up. My son had completely cleaned my car for me for Mother's Day, trunk and everything, vacuumed it out. I know, right? Good boy.
Yeah.
And when I was asking, well, no, maybe not a golf ball. That's too small. Bigger than that, maybe tennis balls. Yeah, how about tennis balls? Well, one showed up in my trunk. After I was on the street waiting to pick up my kids from elementary school. This was a long time ago. Goodness, they're all big, and a tennis ball just came rolling down the street and then crossed over the street and stopped at the curb at my feet.
I'm here.
And by now I had like 5 tennis balls. I said, that's enough.
Enough
Thank
tennis
you.
balls.
But that's enough. Stop.
They have a sense of humor as well, of course.
Of course. So what I encourage people to do, if you want to practice and start to get your mind wrapped around, because there's 2 things. I mean, the suppression we're under prevents us from doing this stuff, but also the way we bought into it mentally. So we have to start shifting our mind and getting it to believe that these things are possible.
Yes.
Don't believe everything you believe, folks. Mm-hmm. And to do that, practice with little things like I did with that tennis ball. Not something really big and important, and be playful with it and just go, I could use some of this. And if there's not a huge attachment to it, that makes it much better too.
Much easier. You can't desperately want something, right? Because then you're basically confirming that it's hard to get.
Exactly.
So it won't come. I've had to learn that the hard way. Yeah.
So do you have any manifesting stories?
Yeah, again, heaps.
Well, look at you. Just heaps.
My turn, yeah. Yeah. When I first started learning about law of attraction, I think that was the time. And I think my husband had left probably 6 months to a year before that. So I was thinking, what's great about this is there's nobody around me to tell me that this is rubbish. I've just got my 2 little kids. They won't even know. So I can play with this and imagine things without anybody saying, oh, don't be stupid. And so I thought, I'm just going to take full advantage of that. And I had a night to myself, which is amazing. And so I thought, right, I'm going to the opera because I love classical music. And the one opera that was on at the Sydney Opera House, I couldn't get online to get the ticket. So I rang the box office and they laughed and said, no, it's been sold out for months. There's a great big P&O cruiser in the harbour. And yeah, they booked all the seats. There's nothing. Now, I thought, right, okay. So I hung up and thought, right, here's my opportunity. Rather than, no, that's not going to work. Get my dress on, head into town. I'm going to get into the opera. And so I got all the way in, and then we're standing in this huge long line. I think I was about 14th in the queue. And a few would go at the beginning, and then I was sort of sitting there going, yes, I'm going to totally believe this. Let's just see if it works. In front of me were a couple from New York, and they were a bit iffy about whether that was ever going to happen. So I'm like, okay, well, they might get in or not, but I'm getting in. And they're ahead of me. And then behind me was a couple from England, and they were just moaning like you wouldn't believe. The whole joke about whinging poms. It felt like these people had maybe won the lotto and been going all around the world, and they whinged about every country that they'd been to. And they were whinging about Australia, that it was too hot and they couldn't wear their sweater, their jersey. Well, I'm like, okay, they're not going to get in. That's fine. I'm getting in. So I watched for a while, and we got down to the very last couple of minutes. And the lady from the box office came out, and she was talking to different people up the line. And they were all shaking their heads. And then she said she only had one ticket. And I said, oh, I'm by myself. And she asked the New York couple, they're like, no, we want to be together. So I got the last ticket in. I thought, right, this sounds great. I'm going to work on this. Let's work on it. So over a period of a year, I went to 11 completely sold out shows.
Wow.
And the last one was New Year's
impressive.
Eve, back at the Opera House again, getting through the security and up to box office, and got the last ticket in the last 5 minutes before the doors closed. And yeah, so it's possible.
That's
That
cool.
was my fun. That was and there's no attachment to that, right? I mean, if I don't get in, no problem. So I think a few years later, I tried to get into one and I didn't. And I thought, oh, well, who's here? So I looked around the queue. I said, well, who wants to go to supper? And so someone said, okay, all right. One of them looked really suspicious at me, like, what she got up her sleeve, I said, come on, let's go. So we went down along the quay around that area, around the Opera House. It's really lovely. And then we were sitting there. It was a young girl. There was a businessman. There was an older guy. There were about 5 or 6 of us. And as I was sitting there, we're having lots of jokes with a very diverse group of people that never would have made friends in the first place, but we're having lots of fun. And I thought, oh, another thing I'd asked for not long ago was to share a meal with fascinating people and get lots of laughs. So I got, I missed out on my ticket, but I got this instead. This is great. So it's about change. Don't ever stop to be disappointed. Oh, okay, we didn't get that. Well, what do we do instead? Is a really good attitude,
Nice.
I think, to keep with that. Yeah.
I did that once.
What's that?
I did that once.
Yeah.
I wanted to go see Sting in the 80s.
Yeah.
Late 80s. No. Yeah. Early 90s? Yeah, after the police broke up. And my husband didn't want to go, and I thought, okay, we won't go. And then the day of the concert, I'm like, I want to go. And they had been sold out for a long time, but, brokers buy up tickets and sell them, and nobody had any left, right? But I called one anyway, and he goes, well, I only have one seat left, though. I'm like, that's okay. It's just me. He goes, okay. I said, where's the seat? He said, oh, it's in the front row. And since I probably won't be able to sell it to anybody else, I'll give it to you for the regular cost, what I paid for it. I was like, okay, thank you. I had a good time.
Yeah. And I think we forget how much we can ask for. Like I often say, I don't do queues. I don't like standing in line.
Oh, queues. Okay.
The longer word. No, the longer word queue.
Queues, questions? What are we doing? Okay.
Yeah,
Queues.
I don't like standing in line. So I often get
Right.
pulled out of the line and given service.
Nice.
You just simply ask for what you want. We are so conditioned to accept standing in a line and don't just behave yourself and shut up and do as you're told, and we forget that we can do these things. And it's not an arrogant thing. It's like, no, I just can't be bothered waiting. Can you serve me now? Serve me now.
Right. And the attitude of, like you said, just, well, who wants to go to dinner? I would say, if something doesn't come to you, it's like, well, What's right about this that I don't know?
Yeah, that's your great question. Now, do you want to explain that a little bit more?
Oh, well, we tend to get, when a wrong thing happens, we get lost in it, and we try to figure it out, and we try to process it out and work it out. No, it's like, that's so old energy, folks. We say, well, what's right about this that I don't know right now? And when you put a question out to the universe, it responds. That's just sort of one of the basic rules. Yeah. You got to listen. That's one of the things you got to learn. But like, that was basically what you said was, what's right about this situation? Well, who wants to go to dinner? But it's a wonderful one just to use anyway. The last one I want to talk about, which is a favorite of mine, is flying.
Superpower flying. Yep.
I want to fly. Oh my God. For years and years and years, I'd go to this same place in dreams, a beautiful big log house in the Sierra Hills with the mountains and everything. And I'd be teaching classes, teaching people how to learn how to levitate and fly. And I fly in dreams all the time. And I fly when I'm out of body traveling. And I started having flying dreams again, which is so much fun.
I reckon it's close. It feels to me like that's really close. And we'll come back to the flying, but I'm just thinking also when I've been focused on this prime condition body that we're all going to have in 5D. What does that feel like? Can I remember? Or it's probably never been completely in prime condition anyway. So what would that look like? What would it feel like? And then after that, all my dreams, whenever I got the opportunity to look at myself, I was in prime condition. So we must be close to it. But coming back to the flying, I knew that originally in the older dreams, like when we were much younger, it was there's often a message in there to do with whether you are, held down to the ground or whether you've broken free, like when you get through puberty or that kind of stuff. There's different reasons for flying, but now it's quite different because we are so close to the 5D world and the other existences that we are tuning into, that there must be lots of places we're already flying, right?
Yeah. The perfect body, like you said, if everything has a consciousness and you can communicate with it, that includes the cells of your body.
Yeah. We don't talk to our body, do we? Well, we do. We say, oh, this is terrible, that's bloody awful, and it's not not good for the body.
Unfortunately, our bodies just say yes, or, I'll make it so. You're too fat. Okay,
I'll just add a bit
skinny.
tonight.
Okay. Yeah. But that's kind of another topic. Let's I think we're getting a little bit long and we should probably end here.
Okay, fair enough.
So let us know what superpower you're looking forward to having. Do you think it's all a bunch of hoo-ha, a bunch of bullshit? And what have you had experiences manifesting things? And if you start playing around and then get success, I'd love to hear that. That
absolutely
just thrills me.
That would be cool. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Good day.